The priests compel him to sit before the holy fire, performing complicated rites and reciting sacred mantras. So now, in this ceremony, the priests compel means kind of forced him, uh, led him to sit before the holy fire. So you've seen this all this Hindu kind of marriage rites, marriage rituals in movies and in teledramas and in certain instances, right? So you see this like there's a holy fire, so they have to. They are just like walking like perambulating around it. Since you have seen it, but here there's like so they were supposed to sit before, in front of the holy fire, the sacred fire, performing complicated rites means kind of a complicated means kind of elaborate, kind of serious, right? Complicated rites and reciting sacred mantras. They were just saying sacred mantras, reciting, telling sacred mantras. His consolation was that during most of these he had to be clasping his wife's hand, and his consolation, Jagan's happiness was during most of this he had to be clasping his wife's hand. So this is the first time I think he's touching his wife's hand, right? Now in the marriage ceremony, this nuptial ceremony, he's holding Ambiga's hand, clasping his wife's hand, holding tight his wife's hand. So he's happy, right? He felt enormously responsible as he glanced at the sacred thali he had knotted around her neck at the most auspicious moment of the ceremonies. So what happened here is he glanced at the sacred thali, right, and he felt enormously responsible with this tying thali, this jewelry, right? Sacred thali. He knotted around her neck. He's tying around this Ambiga's neck actually as like, from this moment I'm taking you as my married wife. Something, maybe the message there, right? And he felt enormously responsible means like he felt like, oh my God, I'm going to be a husband from this moment, and this is a big responsibility for me. So he was very serious about it, and knotted around her neck. And the most auspicious moment of the auspicious means the most best. I mean, like most appropriate moment of the ceremony. Again, Subhamohatak Kila auspicious means that, right? He was overwhelmed by the scent of flowers and jasmine garlands and holy smoke, the feel of expensive silks and lace on his person, and the crackling new saris in which his wife appeared from time to time draped as in a vision. So, a lot of visual imagery. Uh, what else you see? I mean, like scent of the flowers, right? Then can imagine the jasmine garlands. The garlands are like what's the garland, right? It's a kind of a necklace made of flowers, a garland, malmalaki and garlands, right? Holy smoke, the ceremony. This is ceremony, so holy smoke is there. The feel of expensive silks and lace on his person, in his part, like the expensive texture of this attire, and the crackling new saris means this like crunchy kind of crisp kind of new uh, shiny saris, crackling new saris in which wife has to dress from time to time. I mean, like for a lady it seems like they have to change the sari few times here, right? So she is appearing with few different dresses during the ceremony. So those things were very attractive and alluring for Jagan. As in a vision, it was like kind of a dream for him. Her voice was not so gruff as it had sounded in the company of the harmonium. Now Jagan felt like, no, 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 his voice is not that gruff, not that rough or coarse as he first heard it when he was singing to the harmonium. She had an enchanting smile, voice, and laugh, and spoke to him with a shy reserve whenever he was able to corner her and snatch a little privacy in the house. Again, she had an enchanting smile. Her smile was very bewitching, very attractive for Jagan. And voice is very attractive too. And a laugh, the way she laughs, the way she smiles, wow, Jagan likes it, right? And the soft spokenness of her attracts him. She spoke to him with a very shy reserve. Reserve means a kind of a, it's not like very sociable or very open or it's kind of very reserved way, right? I mean, like, I just, can you imagine this kind of, very shy, kind of a reserve into herself, a kind of a girl, right? Uh, yeah, and Shairi. So whenever he was able to corner her, whenever they have a little bit of private time, right? Corner her means that whenever they have a little private time to themselves, because this is a ceremony, a lot of people are there, a lot of eyes are focused on them. But whenever they will have a little time to corner herself, snatch a little privacy, take a little privacy in the house, which was crowded every inch with guests and visitors, like 3,000 people, imagine. Right? How many eyes? Like 6,000 eyes, right? So very hard. It's very hard indeed. But anyway, when they have little privacy, he was enjoying the reservedness of the girl, right? He found the company of so many a brother he found a company of so many a bother and distraction. I mean, like this distractions means his attention is diverted. His attention is all, and it's a bother. It's a kind of nuisance. It's a kind of a disturbance for him of all these people around him now. In other words, he want to be lonesome, right, with the girl. I mean, like that's the idea, right? Even he's impatient here. That's what it seems, right? Uh, Whenever he found a moment to talk to his wife, someone or other would butt in with the remark. I mean, like whenever he was just, kind of chat or just talk, someone from the audience, right? Someone from the guests. Come on, enough. Don't get attached to apron strings. I'm like, come on. Just like, wait, man, right? Enough. Don't get attached to the apron strings. Underline apron strings in providing supports, right? It's called apron string. Just like providing support can be considered as apron string. Yet you have the whole life to sit and admire your wife, whereas you lose sight of us after the marriage. Yeah, the guests, maybe some guys are just passing kind of funny remarks. Hey Jagan, දැම්ම ඉතින් ඇලෙන්න ගැලෙන්න එපා දැන් ඔකට ගොඩක් කල් තියෙනවනේ ඉස්සරහට ඔයාලට. තාත්තේ මැරේජ් එක ඉවරයි. This we are with you only in this time. So let's just pay attention to us, right? Something like that. Uh, So these people are strange as well, right? They were routine jokes. They were just like common jokes. In every wedding, you hear these things, right? They were routine jokes, and interpretation is in any marriage, interruptions in any marriage party. I mean, like it's not this. This personally is aimed at Jagan, but I mean that's the culture, right? Even in our weddings, you find these jokes and everything, right? අර ගිහිල්ලා එක ඒවා ගානවා තුල්ලනවා කපල් එකේ මූණේ එහෙම නැත්නම් මොනවා ඉන්න ආවනවා රැග් කරනවා. And that's our way of doing things, right? I mean, like, is it a good thing or bad thing? I mean, like, is it a fair thing or just kind of a unacceptable thing? Is not the question here. Every culture has its way of joking, its way of laughing, or its way of just ridiculing these kind of rituals in a certain kind of light-hearted way. So this may be that. And any marriage party. But Jagan felt particularly martyred and felt he would have been happier with fewer relatives and friends around. And Jagan took these things little personal, right? Jagan felt embarrassed and Jagan felt like, yeah, too much crowd, too many people. I mean, like, I wish I was like with very little people here, with very fewer relatives and friends around. So these guys will not joke to me, right? Jagan felt a little uncomfortable with these jokes and everything. Some people feel like even in real life, some people take jokes when they are ridiculed very lightly. Some people feel hurt. Anyway, the noise, the music of the drums and the pipes, the jokes, The feasting went on for 3 days and ended with the photographer. Oh my god, 3 days eating, drinking, joking. 3 days. 3 days. Nowadays, like how short is a marriage? It starts somewhere around in the morning and probably just like 4 5 hours, 6 hours, the function is over, right? And then the couple just happily leaves the place. But here it's different. Even in our past, right? Have you seen like hadda magul kana kiyala? Have you heard the word? Right? I mean, like if you have just come across such a word, hadda wasak magul kana, right? In old days, yes. Here is 3 days. If the happiness is overwhelmed, I mean, like overflowing, they'll just the wedding process will go for like 7 days. They'll in even our culture, right? Haddawasak Magul Kana means that the celebrations go for like 7 days. This eating, drinking, joking, laughing, feasting, like banquets, everything is so. That's how it was been. So I'm just contrasting, juxtaposing our context with the Indian context here, right? And now, yeah, they were for 3 days. They were enjoying, and at the last, what happened? A photographer was invited and organizing a huge group with the bride and bridegroom seated in the center. Bride and bridegroom in the center. Huge group. Imagine 3,000 people, like, right? Just facing this photograph. What a photo it should be, right? It's like, have you seen these batch photographs in universities? I'm like, in a batch, even like it's maximum maybe 800, 700 students. But imagine here, it's a situation, right? The problem with the batch photograph is that you can't see the faces even clearly. Now, imagine this situation. Uh, Seated in the center, the celebrations on the whole concluded peacefully, although at one stage, the celebrations were going on cool, right? It was not interrupted, but there was one instance here. Although at one stage, a certain bitterness arose. A small fight. There's a small row, a small kind of a feud, a bitterness of the quality of the coffee supplied to the bridegroom's house by the hosts. I mean, like the coffee quality was an issue for some, right? Some guests, it seems. And one of Jagan's uncles, very elderly man, threatened to leave the marriage party. One of Jagan's uncles, right? Very elderly man, very old man, kind of said like he's going to leave this wedding party. He's not happy with the coffee, quality of the coffee, right? Like, see, certain people are there. Certain people are very fastidious. Fastidious means hard to please. Even you find it. There are certain customers very fastidious. Always just pointing out some mistake. Always ready to be belligerent, be fighting on some small issues, right? Uh, it's a human trait, I guess. So here even a certain person, elderly uncle, was having issue with the quality of the coffee, right? It's like a very trivial issue. Coffee, quality of coffee. You are in a celebration, you are in a most important place, in a function, and you are making a fuss about the quality of the coffee. Jesus Christ, give me a break, right? What is this? There was another embarrassment. There's another issue. Like, imagine catering 3,000 people, small deficiencies occur. It's a natural thing, right? You can't do anything about it. I mean, like, okay, you can be extremely perfect, but tending to 3,000 people's requirements itself is not a easy task. It's a very cumbersome task. And there's another issue here. And there was another embarrassment on the night of the wedding feast. Of the wedding, this feast means a banquet where they were just, eating, and everything is called feast. Uh, this is the issue. Someone who held the highest precedence in the family hierarchy, Jagan's father's cousin, a 75-year-old man who had come all the way from Brahmapur for the Berhampur, right? Berhampur for the marriage. I mean, there's a faraway distance location should be. Right? He has come from Berhampur for this marriage to the Kuppam village, just to attend to this wedding, especially, and 75 years old man. And highest precedence in the family hierarchy means in the family he is a very prominent person, a very eminent person in this family hierarchy of Jaganson. Had come to this way, was given a half-torn banana leaf to dine and on was seated in the company of children instead of in a top row. අනේ මේ වැදගත් නෑදෑයෙක් ජේගන්ගේ පවුලේ ඉන්න අතිශය වැදගත් නෑදෑයෙක් බ්‍රහ්මපෝවල ඉඳලා බර්හම් පෝවල ඉඳලා මේ මෙහාට ඇවිල්ලා කුප්පම් විලේජ් වල. අනේ කැඩිච්ච ඉරිච්ච කෙහෙල් කොලයක් තමයි දීලා තියෙන්නේ කෑම කන්න. දීපු කොලේ ඉරිලා. අවුරුදු 75 වයස පොඩි සෙට් එකක් එක වාඩි කරවලා පොඩි ළමයි සෙට් එකක් එක සෙට් ඉන්නවනේ දැන් මෙතන right, even in weddings we have different tables, right, different relatives sits on different tables. මෙයා වාඩි කරලා තියෙන්නේ පොඩි කට්ටිය සෙට් එකක්. ඉතින් මෑන්ට ටිකක් තද වෙලා, right, it's no, I mean like it's natural, right, එතන පොඩි අවුලක් තියෙනවානේ. You think about it, right. And was given a half-torn banana leaf to dine and was seated in the company of children instead of in the top row. Because he's a prominent person, has to sit with prominent people, right? Family එකේ important කෙනෙක් නම් ඊ අනිත් important අයත් එක්කනේ වාඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ. සම අසුන්නේ ගන්න ඕන. පොඩි උන් සෙට් එකක් එක්ක වාඩි කරාම ඒක නිකන් අවුල්නේ. එතන තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ, right? That's the issue. Was yes, half-torn banana left to dine and was seated in the company of children instead of the top row. This threatened to develop into a first-class crisis. This was the issue. And I mean like, it threatened means it was so threatening and devastating, it could be a big issue. කියන්නේ මේක ඇති මේ පොඩි වලියක් කියන්න, right? Magulakar is in between the wedding. It was enough just to develop it a first class crisis. That's the idea here, right? But anyway, the girl's father openly apologized. Ambiga's father openly apologized, say maybe in front of the rest of the crowd, right? Said openly apologized. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about this mistake. And he nicely managed it. Apologized for the slip and all was forgotten. After that, his ego was hurted here, right? This old man, 75 years old, he has an ego. He has a kind of self-importance was damaged here with this act, right? හිතන්නකො මේ බණකට ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ලොකු හාමුදුරුවෝ කෙනෙක් ගෙන්නලා පුංචි කුටුවක වාඩි කෙරුවම I mean like what's the that's not good, right? That's not right. It's itself is enough just to make a first class crisis. You get the point, right? And anyway, apologizing in the public has kind of solved the issue. So good. That's another issue. Something that upset all the women folk of the bridegroom's party was that the bride was not provided with a gold waist belt and had been promised when the original list of jewelry was drawn up. There's another issue. Third one. What is the third issue? Something that upset all women folk of Jagan's party, bridegroom's party, was the bride was not provided with a gold waist belt. In the dowry, there was this item, a gold waist belt, right? That is a kind of a jewelry worn by women, a very expensive one. Gold waist belt, and had been promised with the original list of jewelry was drawn up. So there's a list of jewelry as comes as dowry from the girl's part, girl's side, but this was not included, and that's a big issue now. The goldsmith in the town had delayed it, and finally when the piece was delivered, I feel like this maybe the issue that the goldsmith, the person who makes this jewelry, is called the goldsmith, right? Silversmiths and who works in silver. Goldsmiths are people who work with gold. and there was a delay with the goldsmith making this jewelry. So anyway, after some time later, this gold waste belt comes delivered. It was found to be made of one gold sheet, but a number of little gold bars intertwined with silk cords. When later this gold belt came, there is this gold is there, but some gold in the front, some gold bars, like gold was what gold bars were intertwined with silk cords. Some silk was also used. Silk is expensive as well. Silk is an expensive material as well, but not expensive as much as gold. But anyway, silk was also kind of used. Threads were used just to make this belt. Uh, so there was issue now. It's not pure gold. There were some silk cords. The woman felt that this was downright cheating. The woman from Jagan's party thought, "Oh, this is cheating. This is not pure gold. They have just used silk here. This is not pure, and this is cheating. They are saving the gold." They commented angrily. They are saving the gold by including silk threads here. Ah, that's cheating. They commented angrily. They would have even gone to the extent of stopping the marriage. They were so angry about it. Such important, right? Such an important item, it seems, this jewelry. And they were gone to the extreme of stopping the marriage. අපි මගුල නවත්තනවා මේක හරි වංචාවක්. That's the idea. But for the fact Jagan did not approve of all this hullabaloo, right? So for Jagan did not like this noise, this discordance, this what is this protest? Like what is this big deal about this gold waist belt? Right? Underline hullabaloo. Hullabaloo means yes, a turmoil, agitation, a kind of a disturbance is called a hullabaloo, right? It's another word for disturbance. So Jagan was thinking, what is this? What is this hullabaloo? Over a gold belt. What is this disturbance, discordance over a gold belt? What does it has to do, right? Explaining to his mother, and he went to the extent of explaining to the mother again. This is the latest fashion nowadays. This is the latest fashion, Amma, right? Nowadays the girls do want to be weighed down with all that massive gold. Now, in old days, yes, it's okay. But nowadays girls don't want to have this all pure gold. I mean, maybe that's the fashion nowadays. So they just included silk kind of threads here. Maybe that's the truth. Partially, there's a truth there. Maybe that's the fashion. You know what is this like? Imagine if you are familiar with Buddhism. You know that there was this wealthy duke's daughter called Vishaka, right? She was dressing like she has this jewelry. Manimekala කියලා එකක් අහලා තියෙනවා. It's like gold belt, right? Something maybe has to do with that here. So now anyway, Jagan says this is a fashion. That's why they have included silk. It's not cheating or it's not like nothing to worry about. And Jagan explained to his mother, latest fashion nowadays, the girls do not want to be weighted down means totally weighted. Gold is heavy. And it's imagine a belt made totally in gold, right? How heavy it would be. So down with all that massive gold, at which they became very critical of them, very critical of Jagan. When Jagan said that thing, everyone became very angry with Jagan, right? Saying that he had already become a henpecked. And they just accused Jagan. Dhammama ganti යට වෙලා and බය වෙලා පිරිමියෙක් වුණාම ඉන්නවට සරල. Not like that, right? So like henpecked, underline the idea. Dominated or submissive. It means like here henpecked is Jagan is henpecked, like kind of a Ambika is controlling Jagan. That's the idea, right? Dominated or submissive is called henpecked. Uh, he had already become henpecked and was already an unpaid advocate of his wife's family. There you go. He's been accused even earlier, right? So, unpaid advocate means he is like talking on behalf of, always stand for the wife's family, Ambika's family. I mean, that's the way it should be. After all, if it's your wife, if it's your wife, right? If it's Jagan's wife, what's wrong in just standing for? I mean, for the wife. That's what a husband is for when there's some kind of injustice. Right? So Jagan is correct in a way. So even we are laughing at Jagan, but Jagan was doing the right thing. Don't you think so? Standing, standing by the side of the wife and says like, yeah, what's the big deal? So now the question is this, right? If Jagan is not bothered about the gold belt or the silk, this silk intertwined, right, with the gold belt, and from the Ambika's party, if it's a fashion or whatever the reason, yeah, even it's cheating. Imagine even it's cheating. If it's not an issue for Jagan, why is this issue for the other folk? Why is this an issue for the rest of the people, the ladies especially? Interesting questions, right? Think about it. At which they became very critical of him, saying that he had already become henpecked and was already unpaid advocate for his wife's family. Even his brother managed to take him aside during the crisis and said, brother interfered and called Jagan. Me had to just come in. Don't make a fool of yourself so soon. Right? Don't make a fool of yourself so soon. Why don't you leave these problems for the women folk to discuss the way they want? මේ ගෑන් ප්‍රශ්න අහලා හරි අමස් මේවට අද දාන්න එපා. දැම්ම ගුණාට අඳින්න තු ඉන්නව පොඩ්ඩක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට විසඳ ගන්න දීලා මේක. So elder brother is kind of advising it, right? Advising Jagan. Jagan had the temerity to reply. Temerity, underline temerity. Audacity, fearlessness, daring, fearlessness. But immediately Jagan replies, it is because they are criticizing my wife, poor girl. That's what I'm angry. They are criticizing my wife. Poor girl, says Jagan. How nice. How romantic is Jagan, right? At this demonstration, at these words of loyalty, his brother left him with a wry smile. I mean, like, brother left, right? Okay. With a wry smile, kind of a grim, kind of a sarcastic smile, saying, you are obsessed. It is no use talking to you. You are obsessed. You are too fond of your wife. Ambikaට විශ්වයට ඉන්නේ. මත් එක්ක කතා කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. Something like that. He left. Brother left Jagan, right? No use talking to you. Jagan was given a room in the middle block. Now after the marriage, in the middle of the house, he was given a room in the middle block. When he and his wife shut the door, they were in a world of their own within the confines of the heavy four-poster. Now, when the door was, when he and, now these are newly married, right? I mean, like, they didn't go for honeymoon or anything, just like nowadays when you get married, you go for honeymoon, right? I don't know. Kandalama or somewhere in a very expensive hotel, you spend some days for honeymoon and comes back. Or even if you are lucky, you can go for somewhere around Bali or Thailand or some kind of a very exotic place, like who have your honeymoon. That's what rich people do, right? So it's like it's totally different. In old days, there was no such a thing. The honeymoon happens in the house itself, so we don't see they're traveling anywhere else other than staying. Like restricting themselves in this family house. So what happens is, Ane, he was given a new room, uh, and when Jagan and his wife shut the door, they were just having some private time. They were in a world of their own. They were in a romantic world, their own world, right? Newlyweds. They are busy, right? Within their confines of the heavy four poster. What is a heavy four poster? Underline four poster. Uh, in old days, you have this heavy, like four posters. There are beds, right? They are just like natural bed. In the four corners of the bed, you find their posts, kind of wooden posts that some posts can hold a net, or that's how it is, right? Four poster. Uh, Write down a bed with post at the four corners that can be used to support a canopy or a curtain, right? So it's like there's a curtain there. I mean, like it's like a small room within a room itself. There can be curtains just to cover yourself. Uh, as a way of having privacy, or you can have a canopy in the top, a kind of a hood in the top, right? The four poster. Uh, at the performance of the consummation ceremony, Jagan's father has insisted on the nuptial suite being furnished properly at the expense of the bride's party. Yeah, at the performance of the consummation means a man and woman sleeping together and just officially announcing man and woman, right? It's called a consummation. It's like a wedding night, in other words. Nuptial suite room means the room where the married couple stays. Nuptial means wedding room, right? Wedding suite room means it's where the wedding couple stays. In other words, being furnished properly. Uh, the things should be added. It should be very well furnished. It should be very well color washed, things like that, as well as properly. At the expense of the bride's party. So Ambika's party has to bear that money, right? Bear the expenses. In one corner of the room, Jagan was supposed to have his study. Yeah, still even the bed is there, and in one corner there is this Jagan study. Jagan hasn't completed the degree yet. He's still studying. He's still attending college. So his study desk is on another corner. He still had his examinations to face. There you go. When they were alone, Jagan spent all his time in lovemaking. And when there's no one around, right? When they are alone in their own world, Jagan and Ambika, he spent a lot of time lovemaking. Lovebirds, right? Newly married. Uh, he lost count of time. He was so busy into lovemaking, right? He lost the count of time, means he just couldn't know what time is actually this is, right? I mean, like he's so into that. He lost count of time. He found his education a big nuisance, cut his classes, and came back home and sneaked into his room and failed in every examination. Now, this lovemaking is affecting his studies. What has happened as a result? He found his education a big nuisance, means Jagan felt his education is a big, bothersome, troublesome thing for him, and didn't attend the classes. Jagan was cutting classes and came back home early, maybe because he wanted to have be in the company of Ambika. Came back home and sneaked into his room without any noise, right? Just like a thief, sneaked into his room, went into his room, and failed in every examination. He was not studying. He was a flunk in every examination. He was a flop. He failed in every examination, forcing his father to commend that. Now, at a certain moment, father got angry, really upset about it, and said, Ambika should be sent back to her parents' house at least for 6 months. Let's say send Ambika to Kupam village, their parents' house for 6 months. Then this guy will study. Unless what this guy do is like comes home early, love making. Comes home early, love making. Not studying. Right? Uh, at least for 6 months if Jagan was ever to take his degree. Yeah. So if to Jagan to study, we have to send Ambika for a while, right? To her house. At home, Jagan spent very little time with her sister, mother, or brother as he used to. At home, he don't have time now for her mother, brother, father. He's cutting his social relation. I mean, like it's very close, intimate, personal relationships with mother and father, right? Make a එයාලත් එක්ක කතා කරන්නෙත් නෑ දැන් අඩුයි, right? But shut himself and is waited for his wife arrival. And he goes to room and just shut the room and waiting for Ambika just to come to the room. But she had her own duties in a large joint household. I mean, like for even Ambika, she can't always engage in love making, right? Falling in love. It's a big house. There are certain duties. Certain people have certain duties in this house. So Ambika may have some little household work she has to attend. Joint household. She had to do the share of work in the kitchen, helping her mother-in-law in cooking, serving, scrubbing, and sweeping the house. Those are just like typical female work on those times, right? So it shows the division of labor as well. So it's a little hard, it's a little deep for you at this stage to know about the division of labor and everything, right? We'll leave it aside. So Ambika has to do the kitchen work, cooking, serving, scrubbing, cleaning, sweeping the house, washing vessels. All this thing is done by Ambika's, I mean like Jagan's mother as well. Jagan's sister sometimes join these things. And again, Ambika also has her share of work. It's not entirely done by Ambika, right? But share. Vessels and awaiting her mother-in-law's company for every meal. And they were sharing, like she's waiting for mother-in-law. I mean, like Jagan's mother, just to join her to have food. It would be unseemly for a daughter-in-law to seek her husband's company when others were busy in the house in various ways. Unseemly means indecent, not standard, right? It's not unseemly, not likely, it's not good, it's indecent for a daughter-in-law just to go to the room and just be with her husband when other people of the house is working. That's not nice, especially when she is here in this house. You have to understand, she's a new member, so she has to prove herself to gain the respect of the adults as well. Okay, she's married to Jagan, that's a different thing, but she can't, I mean, like, be a misfit in this household. So she has to prove herself. So she has to attend these things, socialize her a little bit. But Jagan, that's not the issue, right? Jagan තේවදාල නැහැ. Jagan ගෙදර ආව නම් Jagan බලන් ඉන්නේ අම්බිකා කොයි වෙලාවෙද එන්නේ කාමරේට, just to have a good time with her, right? He doesn't care. That's the issue. So this is the two differences here we have to focus on. The elder daughter-in-law set the model for these codes of conduct. So elder daughter-in-law, who's the elder daughter-in-law? Brother's wife is the model, role model, the perfect idea. How to conduct, how a daughter-in-law should be. Jagan's mother, who had her training early in life when she entered the family as a daughter-in-law. Now, who had trained her? Jagan's mother has trained this girl as well when brother first married and brought that girl to his house, parental house. Jagan's mother has trained her. Like maybe now it's the training is for Ambika. With commando training, just scrubbing, cleaning, washing, cooking, හදලා ගන්නවා ඉතින් so anyway, Ambika often enough remained Jagan of her obligation uh, as a daughter-in-law, but he was blind to everything except his own inclinations. Inclination means his own habits here, his own likes, his own penchants, predilections. Those are hard words anyway, right? Inclinations means his likes. So, Ambika often enough reminded Jagan of her obligation. Ambika always say, yeah, Jagan, see, I have to do household work. I can't come to the room always when you come, right? Give me some space as well. Give me some time. I have to do some work. As a daughter-in-law, I have duties. But he was blind to everything. Jagan says, I am not interested in those things, right? What duties and all this rubbish. He is only inclined, means he is only fascinated, he is only obsessed with his love making. Such a Cupid, right? So R.K. Narayan is making us all laugh here in our own ways, right? When he came home and waited in his room for his wife's company and she was busy elsewhere, he sulked and quarreled with her or pretended to be absorbed in his studies when she came. Now, sometimes Jagan comes early, right? And waited in his room for Ambika to come and accompany him. But sometimes he becomes late and she's busy somewhere else in the house. He sulked, means he got angry, and quarreled, kind of made some heaty arguments, quarreled with her, or pretended to be absorbed in his studies when she finished her duties and came to room. Jagan was not paying attention, right? Jagan is doing all the book work, right? His studies. මේ කරන ස්ටඩි එකක් නැහැ මේ ස්ටඩි කරනවා නම් විභාග ෆේල් වෙනවද right? I will like it's just like a showing off, right? සින්දුවක් තියෙන්නේ එපා නම් මා එකවරක් මට එපා ඔබ 10000 වරක් අන්න ඒ වගේ just like he is doing his work now, right? And pretending to do the work, right? And studies when she came. His wife always liked to have him in a pleasant mood, and Ambika liked to see Jagan happy and in a good mood, in a pleasant mood, and sooner or later would yield to his inordinate demands. I mean, sooner or later. I mean, this girl too is a very family-oriented girl. So she to yield means she to surrenders to inordinate means beyond normal limits of excessive. Undue is called inordinate, beyond normal limits, right? I mean, like this, he always want to make love, right? He always into this act of making love, and Ani Ambika also has to comply with these things just to, because she's a kind of a very extrovert and very friendly girl and a good wife. And his father severely reprimanded him when he found him indifferent to his studies. The father sometimes got really angry and reprimanded and scolded, chided Jagan when he is not paying enough attention to studies. How does he study, right? He is busy lovemaking. His mother often commented, Jagan's mother said, a son is a son until a wife comes. Mother also acts like some fuel into this row, into this argument, into this reprimanding, right? He was good. He was very focused till the wife came, right? Until the wife came. Feeling so that he could spare so little time for the others at home. Because Jagan's mother is angry because this guy don't talk much with us anymore. No, now right? That's the idea. His younger sister said, now that's the talkative, kind of mischievous, kind of painfully um, kind of a intrusive girl. Younger sister said, "Who may you be, stranger? We have forgotten your face." කවුද ඔයා? අපිට මුණ මතක නෑ ඔයාගේ. ඔයා දැකලා නෑනේ අපි. The girl says sometimes, huh? To Jacob. And his wife herself often said, and Ambika also says, right? Please don't create all this embarrassment for me. අනේ ওই තමුසේ මට ලැජ්ජ කරන්න එපා. Just like sometimes Ambika is like, please. අනේ මදින්නම් දෙයියෝ මට ලැජ්ජ කරන්න එපා. She is telling to Jacob, right? At least pretended that you are interested in the others. Just show that. Show. Just go talk with them. Associate them. You say, I'm going to make us ring again. I mean, just like don't be antisocial, right? Go associate them. Talk with them. At least pretend that you are interested in the others. His elder brother took him into the garden and advised. I'm like, now this is an issue, right? Don't you see now this is a big issue? I'm like, Jacob is refusing to associate. I mean, like, sister is saying nasty things, mother is saying certain things, father is saying certain things, and finally, big brother took him and advised him. Right, elder brother took him and advised him took him to the garden and advised. I know how you feel about things. I have passed through it all myself. If you spend 4 hours in your bedroom, at least give the others an hour now and then. Otherwise, you make yourself unpopular at home. So he's telling, give, okay, I know you. I have been through this because I married before you. I know how you feel. මට තමසගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තේරෙනවා. හරි? ඒ වුණාට තමස මෙතන මේ පැය 4ක් විතර දොර වහගෙන ඉන්න හදන්න එපා. එහෙම ඉන්නවනම් පැයක් විතර අනිත් කට්ටිය ඇසෝසියේට් කරලා කතා කරන්න. Unless you are in trouble. Right? It's not nice. Think about it. The elder brother advised, right? You'll be unpopular at home. With one thing and another, Jagan's stock was pretty low at home. And Jagan was not that popular anymore at home, right? Pretty low. Stock was pretty low. But he did not care. Jagan was not disturbed about it. In other words, he's so much is focusing somewhere else, right? As he lived in a perfect intoxication of husbandhood, he's intoxicated with husbandhood. Mattela then, right? Athering Mattela, just like he has become a Niyama Anangya then, right? So he doesn't see, he's blind, you know. Shakespeare explains the Cupid, right? In Midsummer Night's Dream, love is a child that's blind, right? Love look not with eyes but with the mind, and therefore is being Cupid painted blind. No hath love's mind any judgment or haste, and the boys perjured, and something like that in Midsummer Night's Dream, right? It's a perfect way of portraying the Cupid, like how irrational, like Cupid is blind, and his eyes are just portrayed. I mean, like his eyes are just covered because to show he's blind, and he has these wings in Cupid because he's so fast, right? He's so fast, he flies, so irrational. He has only have speed, right? But his decisions are not rational. Very nicely explained in Midsummer Night's Dream as well. When Hermia, Lysander is even a great, and it all shows about the misunderstanding when it comes to love as well. Now keep that aside. So what I'm telling is like how irrational these things are. Husbandhood and perfect intoxication of husbandhood is so engrossed in being a husband, right? And his duties. Later, when his wife failed to have a baby, and there were whispers and rumors. I mean, like some time has passed, and Ambika was not pregnant, right? Ambika was not pregnant, and there was these whispers and rumors, and everyone just in the household whispers, talking to each other in a very low tones. Rumors. Jagan told his wife, And when the others like were having these whispers and doubts, like Mekame Micharame is into lovemaking, but why is Ambika is not pregnant? Jagan, when he got a chance to speak to Ambika, he says, I wish people see now on this side of the door and they would stop talking. Uh, එයාලා දන්න දේ මේ දොරේ මේ පැත්තේ අපි දක්වන ශිල්ප අපි දෙන්න දක්වන ශිල්ප එයාලා දන්නවනම් ඕම කතා කරන්නේ something like that, right? I wish people could see us now on this side, right? මේ පැත්තේ තියෙන ශිල්ප එයාලා දන්නවනම් ඕම කියන්නේ නැහැ අපි දෙන්න කරන දේවල් එයාලා දන්නවා, right? Something like that. And despite all his braggings, right, all this big talk from Jagan, there was no outside proof of his manhood. There's no child yet. There's no pregnancy, signs of pregnancy. Ambika. She had been married for almost 10 years now. I mean, like 10 years has passed now suddenly. Right? 10 years has elapsed. No, not a single sign of a child. Yeah? Pregnancy. He had failed repeatedly in the intermediate and was now failing in the BA class, and still there was no sign of a child in the house. He's failing the exams for 10 years now. He's failing the intermediate and the BA. He didn't do very well in the exam. No exam got fail. ගෙදර ආපු වෙලේ ඉඳලා love making කරාට ඒකත් fail. There's no sign of pregnancy or child. Now the question is, what was he doing, right? All this stuff. There was no sign of child in the house. So both aspects, nothing works for Jagan, right? Jagan is unsuccessful on the both sides, it seems. So that's why no wonder other people are whispering and having rumors. His brother had moved off to Vinayak Street with his entire family. Now brother is separated. He went off at this time to Vinayak Street, somewhere near a kind of neighboring street in Malgudi as well. So he is with his separate family, which had become quite a crowd now. I mean, like brother and his wife is having children. Now 10 years has passed. It's become a crowd. I mean, like, party pill wage hati ne, patcho, something like has become a crowd now. His sister was unmarried. Sorry, his sister was married. Sister also got married at this time. 10 years is a long time. Anything can happen within 10 years, right? So sister also got married and had gone to her husband's house. She also has left. So who's in the house now? Jagan and his parents and Ambika, right? Husband's house. The big house had become silent. And this house, parental house, has become silent now. And people began to notice how empty it was. And there's no noise in this house. Because there are two elderly couple, mother and father, Jagan and Ambika. There's no noise other than that. I mean, what's the idea here? The hidden insinuation is there's not the sign of a child, right? ගෙදර පාළුවට ගිහිල්ලා නිකන් දරු සුළුතල් නැහැ. That's the idea. Right? Indeed, it was. Jagan's mother began to grumble that there was no children at home. There you go. Great Jagan's mother makes this issue and asks and just insists like, see how boring this house is, see how silent this house is, how uninteresting. There's not a single child here. There's no children at home. It was more stick to beat the daughter-in-law with. It is one more stick to beat the daughter-in-law with. Means when, if a mother say these things like, see there's no children here, so how boring it is. I mean, after a certain time, that statement can hurt the feelings of a girl as well. That statement can hurt the feelings of Ambika. It's not just a honest way of expressing her sadness. Of course, as a mother-in-law, she may be a little upset about it, that she doesn't have children, grandchildren. But often repeating it, the idea can be it is used as a stick, it's used as a mean to a stick just to beat the daughter-in-law. Can මේ වචන නිතරම කියදී අනුම්පද වෙනවා. අනුම්පද වලින් නැන්දම කෙනෙකුට පහර දෙන්න පුළුවන් ලේඩි කෙනෙක්. Right? That's the idea. That's the politics. Now it's a political situation. It's a nasty kind of political remark. Right? Beat the daughter-in-law. When she was tired at housework, such as washing and scrubbing the floor of the entire house, she went about muttering. When she was tired with housework, such as washing and scrubbing the floor, and sometimes this is the negative aspect of it. Now, of course, 10 years has passed. That's a different thing. Jagan was not successful in his exams is a different thing. But when the mother is a little bit tired of her own work, certain things she say is not reflecting good. නැන්දම්ම එක එක අනුපද එක එක වෙලාවට කියනවා වැඩ කළ වැඩ වුණාම ටික මහන්සි වෙනවා එක එක අනුපද කියනවා. About maternity. All one asks of a girl is that she at least bring home children into a house as a normal person should. No one is asking for gold and silver, and one may get cheated with regard to gold belt even. කච ඕක තමයි ගෑනුන්ගේ හැටි, right? ගම්වල ගෑනුන්ගේ සාමාන්‍ය ගතිය. ඕක තමයි ග්‍රාමීය ගෑනු ගතිය කියන්නේ. It's like අනවශ්‍ය දේවල්, just like old things, just combine into one thing. Even this is not, even it's not, I mean, like, we know this is written in somewhere post-colonial India, somewhere around 1960s. But isn't this kind of a universal aspect sometimes, even that some of us can relate, even in our context right now? This lady says, right, all one asks from a girl is that she bring home children. අනේ අපිට දරු සුරතල් බලන්න තිබ්බනම් එච්චරයි. ගෑනු කෙනෙක්ගෙන් ගැහණියකින් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ එච්චරයි. ලේලියකින් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ එච්චරයි. දරුවන්ගෙන් අපිට ඕන ග්‍රෑන්ඩ් චිල්ඩ්‍රන් එච්චරයි. අපිට ওই ගෝල්ඩ් බෙල්ට් වල තියෙන රත්තරන් ගැන එච්චර උමනාවක් නැහැ. See the line of talk, see the line of handling these things, right? How things go into a very unexpected end now. All these words are hurting the feelings of the daughter-in-law, right? If you are in a situation like that, how do you feel? Think about it. Why can't the girl bear children as a million other in the world do? Why can't a girl be pregnant just like other women do, right? And other women means, like, of course, in case of brother's wife, it's a natural, right? Why can't a girl bear children as million others in the world do? All this was heard by daughter-in-law scrubbing another part of the floor, right? Yes. So now Ambika is working as well. Ambika never ran off from the housework. She was always a dedicated girl to the housework. And as a matter of fact, she is the only accomplice, not the accomplice, I would say assistants, Jagan's mother had, right, in this house. But there is this tension between the two. There is this kind of passing of this kind of remarks between the two. Between the means Jagan's mother is the one who does this thing. And now Ambika is a little tired scrubbing another part of the floor. She went on with her work without replying. She didn't reply. She didn't want to fight. This shows another good quality of Ambika, right? Scrubbing another part of the floor, she went on with her work without replying and took it out to Jagan when the door shut on them for the night. So when Jagan came home, Ambika took that issue to Jagan. Sometimes she treated it as a joke as they sat. He with his BA text before him, and she on the edge of his table with the legs swinging. So now husband and wife is having a conversation about it. Jagan is studying his degree text, right? BA text, Bachelor of Arts, subject material, and Ambika is on the desk, Jagan's desk, study desk, right? Dangling her, I mean, swinging her legs. Jaganගේ desk එකට කකුල් දෙක පද්ද පද්ද ඉතින් ඕනනේ ඉතින් desk එකට කකුල් දෙක පද්දන්න බැරිද right ඉන්නවා ඉතින් පද්ද පද්ද ඉතින් කතා කරනවා right දෙන්නත් එක්ක